In this video, Tesla's Giga Shanghai is back with a vengeance, and I share my latest updated estimates for Tesla full year 2022 deliveries, including production from Shanghai, Fremont, Berlin, and Austin. So let's get into it. Hey guys, thanks for watching. If you enjoy these videos, there's a bunch of ways you can support the channel, access exclusive content and perks. Check out the links in the pinned comment below. If you want to take it to the next level, join thousands of members on Patreon to gain exclusive access to over 100 Q&A videos, loads of exclusive content, exclusive access to my up-to-date 10-year Tesla stock price targets, and even access my Tesla valuation model at the investor support level and above. You can also pick up some Tesla, Elon, and investment themed merch in the merch store, so check out the links in the pinned comment below, and thanks for your support. So here we are on the Reuters website as it blows a gale here in Sydney. You might hear that in the background. Quote, Tesla has restored weekly output at its Shanghai plant to nearly 70% of the level which it had operated before the city's futile, fascist, inhumane lockdowns, according to two people familiar with the matter. The US automaker, which added a second shift of workers in the middle of last week, is expected to increase output further this week, said the people who declined to be named as the matter is private. Bringing production back to pre-lockdown levels has been a challenge for Tesla at the Shanghai plant, known as Gigafactory 3, amid the ongoing, futile, idiotic, brain-dead, surely you've learned from the 100 plus other examples globally, oh no we haven't yet, let's lock everybody down, that's not going to destroy our economy, not going to be futile, yep, great idea you fucking idiots. Of the Chinese economic hub, which forced the factory to shut for 22 days. While the city government had given Tesla significant help to reopen, the company had battled numerous obstacles such as insufficient workers, as well as logistics problems that impacted the supplies of parts, including wire harnesses. This forced it on many occasions to delay plans to reopen or increase output, and even halt most of its production at the plant at one point. After reopening on April 19th, the Tesla factory produced 10,757 vehicles by the end of April, selling 1,512 of them, data released by the Chinese Passenger Car Association showed. That compared to 65,814 cars sold in March, and marked the lowest sales tally since April 2020, 4 months after the factory started delivering China-made cars. Shanghai authorities will cancel many conditions for businesses to resume work from Wednesday, a city official said on Sunday, as it looks to start lifting the insane, fascist, inhumane, citywide lockdown that began some 2 months ago, and will also introduce policies to support its absolutely battered economy. Its efforts to spur consumption included adding 40,000 car ownership quotas for the year and subsidizing people who exchange their old combustion engine vehicles for battery-powered electric vehicles. The move came after the premier held a key meeting last week in which he urged local authorities to take measures to spur economic growth in the second quarter and stem rising unemployment after the country's absolutely insane, fascist, futile, inhumane, idiotic, did I underscore that point enough yet? Fascist lockdowns, which completely fucked Shanghai, production, the economy, and the lives of everyone living there. Now we are getting slightly mixed messages, both of them bullish for Tesla, but the details vary a little bit. Here is another article, so let's read this one. Quote, Tesla's Shanghai factory adds back second shift, restoring manufacturing capacity to level before citywide lockdown. Sources. The Giga Shanghai has been running with 2 shifts a day since late last week, according to people familiar with the situation. Tesla has lost about 50,000 vehicles in production due to the reduced shifts at Giga Shanghai between March 28th and April 18th amid the insane lockdowns. Tesla has put 2 shifts back in operation at its factory in Shanghai, restoring manufacturing capacity to the level before local authorities idiotically imposed fascist lockdowns throughout the city on April 1st in a naive and futile attempt to combat the outbreak of Gigafactory 3, also known as Giga Shanghai, is once again able to assemble about 2,600 electric vehicles a day, according to 2 industry officials with knowledge of the plant's status who declined to be named as they are not authorized to talk to the media. Let's do some quick math here. 2,600 vehicles times 30 days in a month equals about 78,000 vehicles per month. Now, this is where things get a little bit murky and contradictory. We heard Reuters saying Tesla's at about 70% of their pre-fascist shutdown levels, but 78,000 vehicles per month would actually be around their peak capacity. Something may be lost in translation here. In either case, this is very good news. Skipping ahead a little bit here, before it resumed a 2-shift operation at the Shanghai factory, Tesla isolated many workers in disused factories and an old military camp to ensure they were free of the scamdemic. Did I say scamdemic? Oh, sorry, I I don't know why I would say that. David Zhang, a researcher in North China University of Technology, said that while a single shift operation at the Giga Shanghai could churn out up to 1,400 vehicles per day, an additional shift can boost daily output to between 2,600 to 2,800 Model 3 and Model Y vehicles every 24 hours. So this may be a projection or an assumption rather than some actual data coming out of Tesla here. Maybe that's where the 2,600 vehicles per day number came from. Quote, "It still depends on how the factory arranges its manpower and facilities. The plant can be quite efficient in production as long as the supply chain issue is resolved." And on that note, it's time to look at my own projections for Tesla full year 2022 production and deliveries, which are effectively the same thing because Tesla sells every vehicle they produce. I'll share my bear case, my base case, and my bull case here, just to give you guys and girls an idea of where I think Tesla will be at the end of this year. Obviously, there's a lot of uncertainty. Shanghai ramping back up to full volume production, then continuing to go beyond peak levels is important. Obviously, Berlin and Austin are critically important to these numbers as well, but I just want to put this on the record. Less than halfway through the year, where do I think things are likely to land? And just for the record, all of these assumptions are available in my Tesla valuation model, available exclusively on Patreon to supporters at the investor level and above. If you want to see every assumption, you need full access to the downloadable version of the valuation model. These are the same numbers that ultimately produce my Tesla stock price targets. Big update coming in the next few days, so stay tuned for that. I want to start out with my bear case, which is an absolute fucking joke. It doesn't actually even use real numbers. I've reduced the numbers of vehicles Tesla actually produced and delivered in Shanghai in the first few months of this year. Why? Just to be ultra bearish, because hey, why not? I have an optimism bias, maybe that'll help compensate. In summary, bear case production estimates for 2022, Fremont just over 500,000, Shanghai a little over 700,000, Austin and Berlin each in total around 50,000, 60,000 for about 100,000 or so between those two facilities for a grand total of 1.35 million vehicles delivered in the full year in the bear case, which by the way is approximately where Wall Street consensus estimates are already. Don't want to spend too much time on these because they're way under the mark. This is a joke. I think this is less than a 5% probability. Not even worth thinking about, to be honest. If we look at my base case for 2022, Fremont about 540,000 vehicles, Shanghai about 850,000, Austin 70 or so thousand, and Berlin close to 90,000 vehicles for a total of 1.563 million vehicles delivered for the full year. Here's a breakdown of Shanghai just for the record. Last available info, April 10,757 vehicles delivered, best guess for May around 30,000, getting back up to speed in June around 65,000, which is close to previous peak levels. And throughout the rest of the year, I have Tesla continuing to eke out more production capacity in Shanghai. Don't forget they're also building a massive expansion. Now, to some, this will seem extremely bullish, but to me, this just seems like the natural course of events. Only time will tell. Moving along, Fremont here, who did that? 42,069. This guy can't be serious. That's not a serious prediction, is it? Well, not really. This is a fairly bearish prediction. Again, I'm calling this my base case, but honestly, I think that they're going to smash these numbers out of the park as well. Production at Fremont hovering around that 42 to 48,000 vehicle per month level. I think it's going to be a little higher than this, but you never know. And finally, Austin and Berlin here. Fairly slow ramps. It's really hard to know. First few months here could be 50 vehicles, 2,000, 100, who knows? But I'm expecting steady incremental progress throughout the year, closing out about 15,000 vehicles per month, give or take both facilities, for totals of about 73 and 89,000 each. I'll be rather surprised if Tesla doesn't at least hit the 1.56 million vehicle delivered mark for the year, but hey, you never know. Now onto my less probable bull case, but hey, why not? If things go extraordinarily well, just about everything that can go right does go right, where could Tesla end up? And here's the bull case for a total of 1.76 million vehicles delivered for the full year. Again, not a prediction, just thinking, what if everything goes right? Where do we end up? In this scenario, Fremont just over 600,000 vehicles, Shanghai well over 900,000, Austin and Berlin each contributing over 100,000 vehicles each. This is the major unknown here, Austin and Berlin. It's really hard to know for sure how these ramps go. We don't have enough information to make an accurate guess yet, and that's why this is just a gigantic guess. That being said, if things go relatively well at Shanghai, including the expansion plus eking out further capacity, I think it's actually possible that by the end of the year, the run rate out of Shanghai could be close to 1.3, 1.4 million vehicles. At this point, my bull case has Shanghai doing a total of 927,000 vehicles of production in the full year, despite the huge loss of production in April and the slow ramp back up in May. In this scenario, Fremont closer to 45 to 55,000 vehicles per month throughout the year, and Austin and Berlin ramping quite effectively, both closing the year out with over 20,000 vehicles produced in December, which for the number nerds out there would actually only be an annualized rate of production of around 200 or so thousand vehicles. Definitely possible, but again, a lot of unknowns, especially with the 4680 cells. And I do want to emphasize, these are just guesses. I can't be right, I won't be right. The goal here is not to be right, it's just to be less wrong than the Wall Street consensus, which, well, Probably not that much of a challenge, let's be honest. The irony here is that some of the incredibly bearish assumptions from Wall Street going back a year or so may actually be closer to the mark than they should have been because nobody saw these insane lockdowns coming in Shanghai. In total, Tesla has already lost 50,000 plus units of production. Keep in mind the slow ramp back up. This is probably going to come in at closer to 75,000, maybe 80,000 vehicles of production lost for the full year due to the shutdowns and the ramp back up. So add those numbers to any predictions you've heard anyone make at all about Tesla's 2022 production, because if it weren't for the shutdowns that nobody could have predicted, that's where the numbers would have actually been. Kind of reminds me what happened back in 2020 when Tesla still hit 500,000 vehicles delivered despite a fucking pandemic. Something to think about. I'm curious to know what you guys and girls think, so leave your guess below. How many vehicles will Tesla deliver in the full year 2022? Best guess gets absolutely nothing, apart from some bragging rights. And lastly, don't forget, production estimates you just saw, integrated into my Tesla valuation model, which produces my price targets, available exclusively on Patreon. Check the card in the corner or the link at the pinned comment to join. You'll also gain access to well over 100 exclusive pieces of content. And again, a heads up, major changes coming to my price targets and valuation model within the next few days. I've just been hanging out for a little bit more clarity from Shanghai, which we now have. So stay tuned for that and see you over on Patreon. I'm Stephen Mark Ryan. This is Solving the Money Problem, and I love you all. Hey guys, thanks for watching. If you enjoy these videos, there's a bunch of ways you can support the channel, access exclusive content and perks, and get some free stocks and crypto. Check out the links in the pinned comment below. You can also pick up some Tesla, Elon, and investment themed merch in the merch store. If you want to take it to the next level, join thousands of members on Patreon to gain exclusive access to over 100 Q&A videos, loads of exclusive content, exclusive access to my up-to-date 10-year Tesla stock price targets, and even access my Tesla valuation model at the investor support level and above. So check out the links in the pinned comment below, and thanks for your support. And if you're still watching, you're awesome. I read every single comment on this channel and I really appreciate your feedback. So if you've got any thoughts on today's video, questions, comments, or suggestions for a new video, let me know in the comments below. Check the cards on screen now to browse the merch store, join Patreon, or watch the next video.